Now, as we think about the next 5 years, or at least as I think about the next 5 years, I tend to think in 5-year increments. You know, there's a few things that will be important for us to focus on, and there's one area that I think we as a unit, right, as a school of education, that I believe we need to give immediate strategic consideration or reconsideration. And I think we need to do this in the area of revisioning how we define what we do, and even some aspects of what we do and how we do it. I think we need to really give some deep consideration to rebranding what we do in the school. And I think we need to explore a renaming of the school. Now, to help establish context for the revisioning, I want to share some examples from 3 industries that speak to the importance of revisioning. The railroad industry, which became the major mode of overland transportation in America around 1825, enjoyed a monopoly for over 100 years. Then in the 1930s, they were quickly bypassed by the trucking industry. And many feel that the railroad industry made the fatal mistake of seeing themselves as being only in the railroad industry rather than as a viable competitor in the rapidly expanding transportation industry. A second example is Ma Bell. Some of you all probably do not remember that phones were once connected to the wall. And there was this very long string that when you wanted to talk to your partner on the phone, you're dragging the string through the kitchen into your bedroom, on the phone, you know. So there was a time when phones were physically connected to the walls, right? And many folks believe that Ma Bell died in 1984 when it was broken up by the federal government into smaller companies. But the Bell System's demise began much earlier. It began much earlier under the leadership of Theodore Vail, who in the early 1900s viewed the telephone as an absolute necessity in everyone's daily lives. And over time, that image of the rotary phone mounted on the wall with that cord hanging from it truly became the business that Ma Bell was in. No matter how much the world was changing around them, they viewed themselves as being in the telephone industry instead of the widely evolving communications industry. And now cell phones have replaced landlines. We communicate on our watches, earbuds, and they even have glasses now where the phones are like on your sunglasses and you can talk from your glasses. A third example is the record industry. There was a time where if you liked a song, you had to purchase the whole album. If you liked one song, you had to purchase the whole album. Similar to where if you want a college degree in a particular area, you have to take all of these other courses, right? The B-side. For those of y'all who remember albums, you had the A-side that had the popular songs, and on the back you had the B-side, the less popular songs. That's kind of similar to what it is in higher ed, right? You want a degree, you've got to do gen ed, you've got to do all these other things. That's kind of the B-side, right? The big labels like Sony, similar to universities, they own the content. They own those who develop the content, and they own those who develop the content, develop those who subsequently developed the content, and they control the distribution of the content, right? So they kind of had a monopoly on all of that. Once Napster offered music for free in the 2000s, music sales dropped, album sales dropped from 21.5 billion to 6.9 billion in 10 years. That's a significant drop. Now, the sales of music went up, but the sales of albums went down. The old economy model that favored sellers of music was replaced by a new model favoring renters of music like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and what has taken probably a total of maybe 4 months of my life, the past 18 months, TikTok. And I can't get it back, you all. So now all artists control their content. They have more control in the distribution of their content, and it's a more organic process for developing and finding artists. So in comparison, today's new players in the university market are beginning to offer credentials like micro certificates, badges, competency-based degrees. Our corporate sector is crying frustration because they're hiring graduates and have to retrain them, right? A recent article in Inside Higher Ed argued that universities may need to come to terms with a rental model of education where members have access all the time for the rest of their lives. In this model, only a few of the top universities would still be in the four-year degree business if we don't give up consideration, if we don't give consideration to evolving. We don't give consideration to evolving, we run the risk of being extinct. So colleges and schools of education across the country, the educator preparation industry has focused on the preparation of educators and the preparation of teachers. However, one of the realities seen in COVID-19 is that there was a focus on learning. The conversation was around how are students learning? How are students learning? How are students learning? And so all the areas are focusing on the importance of learning, right? One example is UNC Chapel Hill just got a very large grant joining NSF to collaborate to advance artificial intelligence in learning. So we should wrestle if we are more in the teacher preparation business or if we're in the business to advance learning, which still includes teacher preparation. And I believe we have a strategic opportunity to reposition and revision ourselves as a unit that develops professionals, practitioners and researchers who advance learning and who advance the science of learning. Whether that is advancing learning in the K-12 environment, advancing learning within organizations, with the training of effective leaders, advancing tools and strategies to assist those with special needs to advance their learning, development of tools and development of professionals, advancing learning for adults in various sectors, advancing learning in ways that maybe we've not even thought about. If you think about it, the core of what we do is truly in advancing the science of learning. So COVID-19, right, a growing focus on the importance of learning along with the tools and strategies to facilitate learning is showing us that we have a strategic opportunity to revision and rebrand ourselves in a manner consistent with advancing learning across the lifespan. What does this look like in how we teach? What does this look like in what we teach? What does this look like in what we research? How can the VCU School of Education be leaders in moving the education field implicitly and explicitly towards preparing professionals who advance learning across the lifespan? So I believe we need to strategically and with a sense of urgency, we need to explore this, and we also need to explore a name change from a school to a college, right? Possibly the College of Education and Learning Sciences or something like that. College of Education and something else. This is going to be critically important from a recruitment standpoint, from a branding standpoint, because we do so much. We do so much that people don't know about, and they can't find us because they have this misperception that all we do is prepare teachers for K-12 buildings. And so we do have to address that in a manner to truly capture the breadth of what we do. And we really have a strategic opportunity to really begin to lean into into the learning sciences, which is in our wheelhouse. I'm going to take a risk here and go a little bit off script, so Kathy will give me. I always have to find one person to be like, Andrew, you're doing too much. You know, but I do have a frustration with, let me try to be more strength-based about this. I think we do incredible work, right? I think we do incredible work. When somebody moves to an area, what's the first thing they're looking at when they're going to buy a house, regardless of the age of their kids, is the quality of the schools, right? We're a major economic driver, right? We're a major economic driver. We would not have dentists, lawyers, and engineers, and all these things that other people value, sometimes a little bit more than us. We wouldn't have them if they did not have us. So we really have to lean in to our innovation, lean into our expertise, and not be shy about it, right? So this will require us to look and be more diverse in our programs. We're going to have to really look at our degree names, and we're going to have to look at our degree offerings. Our departments will need to examine if their names actually capture the breadth and depth of their work. For example, the Department of Educational Leadership does significantly more than prepare leaders in the K-12 education space. But would somebody who is interested in being developed as a leader at the doctoral level for work in a corporate sector be able to find us? They wouldn't even be, they would not even look to the School of Education for that. So why not something like leadership and organizational development? When I met with Whitney, we were just talking, and I'm charging her to go to her department and really think about what is a name that truly captures the breadth and depth of work that's done in that department. So we need to have all of our departments begin to really think about that. And that's just an example, right? Because these are discussions and decisions which the faculty have to wrestle with, and the staff have to wrestle with, and we need to have input from students in that process, right? So this is something that I'll be charging departments to get with their faculty, that you all need to wrestle with this. Please know that we're not abandoning our core in preparing professionals to advance learning in K-12 settings. We're not abandoning that. But we're really rebranding and really revisioning how we do that in an innovative place that really positions us for greater levels of excellence and really provides us greater level of protection as we're in a rapidly evolving university that's rapidly growing in debt, that we need to be very strategic about what decisions we make. So, just like the transportation industry, the communications industry, and the entertainment industry, we have to make sure that we're evolving and keeping up with the times and using my new favorite phrase, Kim McKnight, we have to skate towards where the puck is going. I have to be really careful with a mask saying that. So I spent some time early outlining the previous 5 years and just talk about some things that I think we need to give some immediate strategic consideration. When I say immediate, meaning like we're going to need to get some faculty committees, department conversations, and really make some decisions, you know, very quickly, like this semester, what we're going to do so we can begin to implement something that can take about a year to do. But I also want to wrap up by sharing what I believe is going to be also important for us to focus on for the next 5 years, and it will be a key area of focus for me. The first, some of you all have heard me talk about this, and this is what President Rao came to one of our Council of Deans and talked about, which is CPR, civility, professionalism, and respect. This is going to be critical for that inclusive culture and climate that I talked about and how we interact with each other. That it's going to be critically important that we're interacting with each other in a manner that's civil, professional, and respectful. Secondly, and I'm so excited about Crystal being here and Tamika's leadership, because we're going to transition even more from being student, we're going to transition more towards being student-centered. That is a key priority in being student-centered. Being student-centered from an administrative standpoint, not just in providing the necessary supports for students to tactically finish the School of Education, but what is the experience? We want students to, when they reflect back, they're like, man, I am so glad that I went to the VCU School of Education. I could have gone to all these other universities, but I am so excited that I went to the VCU School of Education because that experience was second to none. An example of being student-focused is in the classroom, right? And something else that President Rao charged deans with saying, charge your faculties to examine the important question, are you here to teach, or are you here for students to learn? That's a very powerful question that should impact what you do when you're in class, right? So being here to advance student learning is clearly a more student-centered approach to achieve our mission as a university. The third area is research excellence. We have an ambitious goal to be a $50 million School of Education in the next 5 years. We have the talent to do it. We're going to be recruiting more talent to ensure that it gets done, right? We're going to have some new focus on NSF. We have a rich opportunity in the area of NSF funding. Fourth, a greater sense of community for faculty, staff, and students in the school. COVID-19 and the Delta variant has just created a lot of challenges. We, working with Tamika and Student Services and student engagement and Ed Shop, man, we had some fantastic things that we're gonna do. We were talking, do we do things out in the lawn back there, movie nights, all of this stuff, and then Delta variant just came and just knock us upside of the head. But we're going to continue to drive towards that because we want to really strengthen that sense of community that we have here in the school. And lastly, we cannot ignore the realities of fiscal growth and sustainability. We're positioned for this, and we've made some bold decisions in the past that have really positioned us well. And I think some of this revisioning, rebranding, and renaming, I think will afford us significant growth in student recruitment, will further enhance and support our research and overall impact. And so those are 5 things that I am really going to be focusing on. So my charge for each and every one of you all, faculty, staff, and students, is to strive for excellence, innovation, and impact in your work. Students, we owe it to you. We owe it to you. We owe it to you. You all deserve our excellence and nothing less. Faculty and staff, we owe it to each other. We owe it to each other. And for all of us, we owe it to our constituents, particularly our youngest constituents whose futures depend on us. They deserve our excellence. They deserve our innovation. They deserve our impact. They deserve us striving to be bold and aspirational. Striving to be bold and aspirational. And we should all pour into each other, and we all deserve to be poured into. We spend more time here at work, if you're a faculty or staff, or if you're a student. We spend more time doing this than we do with our families. So it's imperative that we truly have an inclusive culture that reflects civility, professionalism, and respect, and one that we can pour into each other personally and professionally. So I hope everybody has an absolutely incredible 21-22 academic year. And before we close, I know Mike Broda, representing faculty organization, and Ben also representing staff council, will say a few words. But before I bring them up, I'd like to remind everyone that a catered reception will follow immediately after this ceremony in the Oliver Hall courtyard. I love how we call it the Oliver Hall courtyard. I don't think that's the official name. But you know what? We're going to take that space. We're going to claim it. It's now the Oliver Hall courtyard. Masks are required by VCU at events where physical distancing of greater than 6 feet is not possible, or when the event includes more than 50 people, which the reception outside will likely. So please wear your masks. But now I'd like to welcome Mike Broda, Faculty Organization President, and Ben also Staff Council Chair, to the podium to tell you a little bit about how these two important groups are helping. This is the first time I've seen Mike in a jacket, by the way. And you look very nice, Mike.
In a while. Thank you. Hi, everybody. We're good? There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Broda, Associate Professor in the Department of Foundations of Education. And I'm your 2021 President for the School of Ed Faculty Organization. A little info about Faculty Org for those of you who are new. SOE's Faculty Organization is a collaborative partner with the school administration to ensure communication and faculty voice in decisions and governance of the school. We serve a dual advisory and advocacy roles. It's kind of a cool group. It serves as an instrument through which faculty can effectively participate in formulating school policies and practices, and our organization receives, reviews, and recommends matters that relate to faculty welfare and rights, and provides a forum for the discussion of issues. So lots of good stuff. All full-time faculty members, including tenured, tenure-eligible, and non-tenure eligible faculty who hold appointments, joint appointments, part-time appointments, or affiliate appointments in the School of Ed, are members of faculty organization. And we have officers and delegates that are elected from the membership. So you're all welcome, all faculty are welcome. Our meetings are held on the second Thursday of each month from 12:30 to 1:45, either on the 4th floor of Oliver Hall or via Zoom. If you want more info about Faculty Org, you can check the SOE website under the Faculty and Staff drop-down menu at the top of the page. So we encourage you to join. It's a good group of people, and we always have good, lively meetings with lots of things to discuss. So now Ben will say a few words about Staff Council.
Hey everybody, I'm Ben also. I'm a program coordinator in the International Educational Studies Center and also the chair of the VCU School of Education Staff Council. The Staff Council serves as a voice for SOE staff, and I want to highlight there that it's all staff if you're part-time, full-time, at Oliver Hall or also in centers off campus. And in this role, the council serves as a voice for all these staff to inform the SOE leadership team, faculty organization, and of staff and initiatives and successes, and to raise issues about the concerns of staff. We also work to support each other, VCU students, and the surrounding community. We do this by focusing on the following goals of the Staff Council: improve the SOE working climate and overall morale, increase professional visibility and networking opportunities, promote professional development, enhance staff communication, increase visibility, participation, and engagement in Staff Council initiatives, and also increase a sense of community overall. For more information about the Staff Council, it's available on the SOE website, also under the faculty and staff drop-down menu, and at the top of the page. I'd like to thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mike and Ben. And you know, again, thank you all so much for being here. Those of you all who are here in person, those of you all who are here virtually, and let's see what they have for us in the Oliver Hall courtyard.